Hello and welcome to the Chop Shop. My name is Dion Tucker. In this video, I'm going to discuss some of the steps I take to breaking in a new mouthpiece. So I'm not a player that's super technical when it comes to gear. Usually I just find something that works and I'll stick with it for a long period of time. But recently I just got a new mouthpiece. And as I was going through and just learning some of the different characteristics of this mouthpiece, I realized there's a lot of subtle things that we go through as brass players when we're breaking in new equipment. So I wanted to make a little video to talk about what are some of the things that I'm noticing as I'm starting to break in this new mouthpiece. Now, before I jump any deeper into that, I want to thank everybody out there who's continued to support the channel. I definitely have some new and exciting things coming up in the upcoming weeks. I have a new teaching position that I'm going to be starting in the fall. So it's just really exciting time for me. And I want to thank everybody for all of your support. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can get a heads up on whenever I put out a new video. I wanted to share a little information as to why I'm even trying a different mouthpiece in the first place. So a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from the guy that makes my mouthpieces, Greg Black. If you've ever played one of Greg's mouthpieces, you know he's an absolute master mouthpiece maker. I've been working with him for several years, and he's made about 3 custom mouthpieces for me so far. Somebody contacted me after watching one of these videos and asked me the information about my mouthpiece. I didn't really know what the specs were, so I told them to contact Greg. But in my mind, I thought that my mouthpiece was somewhere between the size of a 6.5 AL to a 7C in Bach. That's what I always thought my size was. When I talked to Greg though, he told me that the actual size of my mouthpiece was somewhere around an 11C. Now, kind of fast forward to where we are now, I had a conversation with Greg and I was telling him a little bit about how different it is that I play now compared to how I played before. Before, my lips were all the way inside of the cup of the mouthpiece. So the way that it was sitting on my face was much more suited to how I played then. Well, in the last couple of years now, my playing is drastically different and I've had to change my embouchure from dealing with focal dystonia. So I was always kind of fighting my old setup. I didn't change my mouthpiece or anything, but there was a little bit of a fight because I was playing a totally different way than I was playing before. Once I explained to him that my lips are now sitting on the rim of the mouthpiece, Greg suggested, hey, maybe you need a little bit more space on the rim. He kind of pointed out to me that I had a really thin rim on my old mouthpiece, which I didn't even know. So he suggested, how about I make your rim a little bit thicker and we can see how that adjustment helps your playing. So what Greg wound up doing was he pretty much doubled the surface of what was on the rim for my mouthpiece. So if you take a look at my old mouthpiece, right here on the rim section, and I've been playing this mouthpiece for years, but on the rim section, he doubled the surface. So my lips had a lot more space to sit on the rim. So I gave that a try, but instantly I could feel that there was too much space there. It really felt like I went from driving a compact car to a luxury car. So my lips were doing a lot of work to try to find the right position. There was just a little bit too much surface there, but it's a good thing because you can always subtract. You can't add surface, you can subtract. So I had him split the difference between where my mouthpiece was before, this is my old mouthpiece, and as to what he made for me now. So the surface is about, I would say maybe half of what was there on my older mouthpiece. And boy, did this make a huge difference. Now, another little thing that I do is I add this, it's a little tone ring. It's just a little piece of metal that goes around the shank of the mouthpiece. and this really helps me center my sound. So I've been adding these tone rings to my mouthpieces for the last 25 years, and it just always helps give me a little extra focus and just focus the sound on the mouthpiece. Now, I know a lot of times they have tone sleeves. There's all different kinds of devices that can kind of give you the same effect. But for me, I always add a little tone ring to the shank of the mouthpiece to help me center the pitch and also the way the slots center. It just helps center everything overall. The true test of any mouthpiece is to stick it in the horn and play it. So let me grab my horn and I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback as to some of the stuff that I'm feeling, some of the different characteristics I feel between this mouthpiece and my old mouthpiece. So now that I got my horn, one of the first things that I like to do when I'm playing a new mouthpiece is check out the dynamic range. So what I mean by dynamic range is not just how loud I can play on the mouthpiece, but how soft I can play. So I'll usually start on a note, just a regular volume, maybe like a mezzo forte, and I'll crescendo to as loud as it feels comfortable, and then go all the way down to as soft as it feels comfortable. This gives me a good idea of how my lips are vibrating in the mouthpiece and how easy this feels. So this is usually where I like to start with a new mouthpiece. And I usually like to find that breaking point of how soft can I play. So now I'll start there and just kind of see how soft I can start out. So I'm really just looking for, when I go to the next partial, whether it be up or down, how much do my lips have to move around to help embrace that particular airstream? I don't want too much movement happening, but I just want to get a feel for where does it slot on this new mouthpiece. So one of the things I feel is that, yeah, even though the lips are in a different place than my mouthpiece before, it's not that far off. So I would just spend a little bit of time trying to find exactly where those positions are. So once I start to find where those slots are, I'm going to start to expand into the upper register. Now, the upper register just means wherever the top part of your range is. That can be different for a lot of people. So when you're experimenting, especially with a new mouthpiece, just start to find where those breaks are as you start to move into your upper register, whatever that may be. So one of the things I kind of feel right away is maybe I'm compensating a little bit more than I have to when I'm going into the upper register. So I'll try to fine tune how little movement do I have to do to go from, like, say, an E flat to an A flat, that fourth jump, somewhere in there. So now once I'm comfortable in that register, I'm going to start to move to a more extreme upper register. Once again, this is going to vary based on your range, but I just want to test out like what really happens with my lips as I start to go higher. One thing I don't want to do is start jamming them inside the mouthpiece. I want to let them sit there and adjust to that airstream. So how does the new surface that I have on this mouthpiece compensate for that space with my lips? So I'm really looking forward to spending some time with this mouthpiece and working out all the little subtleties. It already feels really good and makes things feel a whole lot easier when I play. So just putting some more time into it, I'm really looking forward to what the results may be. Have you changed your mouthpiece recently? And if so, what are some of the things that you noticed in your playing that were better, worse? How long did it take you to get used to your new mouthpiece? I'd love to know, so let me know what your journey was like in going through some new equipment. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out, and I'll see you next time at the Chop Shop.